like a disc jockey. You know what time it is. It's your girl KP, and I am here with a special guest.
Hey, it's me, Shakoya.
What up? We are in an ultimate countdown for graduation, and I've been MIA. I had big plans to do this Mother's Day podcast with the girls, but it didn't happen. So here we are. It is Friday. And let me get my announcements out of the way, my church announcements out of the way. You know where to find me. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all under Keisha Pollard. I am actively working on branding. Shout out to Jonathan Smith for all of his support. So that might change. But today, you can find me, Keisha Pollard. It's not hard. My blogs are featured under IamTeflonJohn.com. Working on another one. It's going to be fire. Let me put that out there and hope that I deliver, right? So, as I mentioned, I have baby girl with me today. We're going to talk about failure. I did extend an invite to the eldest, Miller Clark Pollard child, and she declined. So that's what happens when you have adult children. Anywho, we will keep this party going. So today we're talking about failure. The definition of failure is the lack of success. I have put a quote. You know, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the success. It's part of the process. We're going to kind of hear how Shakoya internalizes and works through that. Most great successes are embedded or the journey is paved with failures. I listed a few. Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, Oprah, the big O, Walt Disney, the Beatles, and Albert Einstein. And if you've never failed, you've never tried anything new. And it's interesting, before we get into this, before I really bring Shakoya into the conversation, my boss asked her leaders to answer a question. And one of them was talk about an opportunity or a failure that you had. And I've had several. And sometimes I feel like I have a lot of wins. And I was just saying, like, man, I wish I could get a little bit of opposition. And that has been my week. It started with a meeting on Monday. I felt completely ambushed, which I think I'm going to dive into that on that might be part B of this failure, right? But I do understand that the greater the risk, the greater the opportunity to fail, right? But also the greater reward. So it's just something to consider. So I have Shakoya sitting with me. And so when you think about, how do you define failure?
Not winning.
Okay.
Because not my whole life is around winning, but it's like doing wrong. Failure is doing wrong, but you have to do wrong to understand what is right.
So when I hear wrong, it sounds judgy. So
I agree.
Do you think failures are wrong?
Still, yes. Because if you're not, I think failure is wrong to me. It just doesn't sound, it sounds the same. Failure and wrong sounds the same to me.
Really? How did you arrive at that understanding?
Just like, I don't know. Because, like, if you fail a test, you're doing something wrong. There's not, like, I'm not saying you're 100% wrong, but there's something wrong there that needs to be fixed. That's what's going on in my mind.
I could understand the logic. So do you connect yourself in the failure, or, because the analogy that you just gave was interesting. So you're right. If you fail a test, you didn't give the right answers. You gave the wrong answers. So does that make, what is the failure? Who accepts that failure? Is I am now, because I got an F on my test, Keisha is the failure? Or is it that there's failures in my behavior that led me there?
Failures in your behavior. So if you failed the test, it's because you failed to understand what was going on during the test. You didn't study enough. Your behaviors failed, not you.
Okay.
I don't believe that anybody is a 100% failure except our president.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Koya's hashtag woke, hashtag politics, hashtag she can't wait to vote in 2020. Maybe that'll be another podcast I'll bring her in on, right? And I think that's good to hear. pridefully as a mom, I wanted you guys to know when I was disappointed or when there was things I didn't approve of. It wasn't you that I was upset at. It wasn't you that committed the. Okay. It's not. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your behavior. So I think it's good to hear that you have compartmentalized. You have separated yourself from what up? What up? We have a spectator in the house. Oh, Kiki Miller. Her picture ain't gonna make the slide, but she's here. So we'll have to come back to that thought. But so when's the last time you had a failure?
Oh, they're recent. They're almost every week.
Okay, well, let's talk about one.
I take Pre-Cal On-Ramps, which is a college course. That means I could earn college credit without taking like an AP exam or anything. And I fail a quiz every single week. Not saying that I'm proud, but it's challenging and it's been a struggle. And I used to be very intelligent in math, and it was just super easy. It was almost like I don't know. It was just easy knowledge to me, but now it's like you have to do the work in this class. This class does not teach you. You have to teach yourself, and I'm not all about teaching myself. So it's about, I feel, usually once a week, at least once a week.
So what have you done to counterbalance or to counteract knowing that? Because you it comes off the tongue easy. I fail once a week, and granted, I haven't seen a study. Like, we were watching Netflix and chilling all night after school and work. So what have you done to accept the failures, but also to try to avoid them in the future?
So with avoiding the failures, it's okay, so I got the quiz wrong, but I still have the test. So whatever is on the quiz will be on the test. So I make sure I don't fail that portion of the test. And if I don't fail that portion of the test, that's what makes me feel better. And I don't do my homework at home. I do it at school before the class because it makes me remember, you know.
So that was conviction for me, like, Mom, don't be trying to be shady and
right.
say I'm not studying when I'm studying.
I study right before I go into the class. That way it's fresh, it's new, I don't forget it. Because if I do my homework like a couple hours before the test, I'm not going to remember. Like a night before the test, there's no way I'm going to remember it.
So let me bring our new guest. I'm going to try to finagle her a picture in here with all the setup. We're in the downstairs area of the house. So we're talking about failure. The definition of failure is a lack of success. So being 22, almost 23, Jesus, where'd the time go? Talk to me about when is the last time you experienced failure?
Well, at work, I'm not gonna lie, we like sometimes fail as a team.
Okay.
Because we all talk drama, and I'm not like that. But at the end of
hold on. Oh. We said we talk drama, so let me give you accountability. We talk drama or they?
I mean, we all do. I'm not gonna lie. But at the end of the day, we're a team, so we shouldn't be like failing each other and like talking about each other behind our backs.
So have you had a personal failure?
Not really, no.
Never,
except for high school.
Okay, talk about that.
When summer school, and then like we had to go talk to the principal and all that stuff about like, should I graduate? And I was like, yeah, and I felt like I was gonna cry and I thought I was gonna fail, but at the end of the day, they let me graduate. So
how did that make you feel?
I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry, to be honest, because like I actually wanted to graduate and like make you proud too, and Koya, because yeah, I just wanted to graduate and be successful like you.
So what Kiara is sharing is school for her was challenging, and it's interesting, and it was going to be and it might still be a future podcast. I recall having the conversation with Shakoya and sharing, like, you know, it was challenging. You know, Kiara had to work 10 times as hard as the average kid to get average grades, and it wasn't. She always loved school. It was never apparent. She went to summer school, I want to say every year she was in school. But she was always the first person up. So she never allowed what optically or what the average person would consider an opportunity to stop her from doing her best, but also loving what she did. She's super social. And I was talking to Koya, and she was like, I didn't realize that Kiara had those challenges. I mean, and talking to her and knowing her, you wouldn't. So it's definitely a testament of our faith and her perseverance and knowing that either way I'm good. But she was just, and thank you for sharing that. That's a vulnerable place to put yourself out in the internet land talking about one of those failures. So let's see. So thinking about failure at two different levels, right? So I being the matriarch of this house, this young castle, and you two being the princesses, right? So I'll start with Koya. You're graduating. You have a lot of nieces and nephews. So what would you tell them about failure, perseverance, separating the two?
What would I tell you about failure? I wouldn't let it stop you. Because you failed does not mean that you are a failure. Your behavior is failure. You need to change your behavior so that you can succeed in the future, and define perseverance.
Perseverance is the ability to keep going. So you said you fail every week in this class, but yet you usually beat me downstairs to go to school and work. So it's the ability to keep going.
It's always something or someone that you want to keep going for. And I think that it's, for me, my perseverance would be my mom and my sister, because it's just like I see them every day, they see me every day, so it's like I would always want to keep going for them. At one point, it's just like I wanted to just stop. I wanted to stop school. I wanted to not necessarily drop out, but be homeschooled, and it was a lot for me, and it was hard to just keep going to school and seeing that I failed a quiz every single week. So I would say you would want to find something that helps keep you steady and that makes you want to keep going and not want to stop. Whether it be an SO, a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, grandmother, grandfather, somebody or something that makes you want to keep going.
What's NSO?
Significant other.
What's the N for?
NSO.
Insignificant other?
NSO. Not NSO, NSO.
Oh my gosh.
N is the Nancy S-O.
A-N, but like, you know.
N.
Yes. NSO.
N. Girl, Lord. Did y'all hear that? NS. No, N. It's N. And it should be A-S-O.
No, it's NSO.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to it.
ASO sounds stupid.
Well, S-O sounds like, S-O. Anywho, this is how it goes down in our house. So, Kiara, similar but a different question. I think you have something, there's a secret sauce when it comes to your ability to keep going, knowing that sometimes things are more challenging for you. So, similar but kind of different question. We have little nieces and nephews. You don't have that, thank you, Lord, but you have cousins. So, what would you tell them if they came to you and said, hey, school is hard, it's tough? What advice would you give them about staying focused and keep going to school?
Just keep pushing yourself. Be positive. Don't be negative. If you need help, always ask a teacher. Because if you don't ask a teacher, you will not get your answers. Like when I did college math for 12th grade, and it was really hard. I had to go to tutoring. Like I couldn't even go to lunch. I was like, I'm just going to skip lunch. I'm going to just stay at tutoring, make sure I get all this done, make sure I get the help that I need, and then always have a goal. Because if you don't have a goal, then what's the purpose?
So I think failure can birth embarrassment, right? We talk about that a lot. I've told my girls, I own embarrassment, right? So if I'm not embarrassed, it ain't embarrassing. So if I am out and I fall face down, or if I'm singing or Millie in Walmart or wherever we might be, it might embarrass y'all, but it don't embarrass me. So how do you deal with embarrassment? Because I think sometimes that plays into it, like how other people perceive your failure. So I'll let Koya go first. Talk about the perception of you feeling embarrassed. Like, what do you think about that? And then how do you manage that with your failures?
I was just about to lie and be like, well, I ain't never embarrassed, but it's
I can shout out 3 times when she's been. Not really, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
I digress.
But it's just, you can be embarrassed. It's just how you play it off. Like, if you show that you're embarrassed, people might laugh and be in your face and be like, yada, yada, yada. But it's just how you play it off. If you're embarrassed, don't act like you're embarrassed. Say that, oh, I did this. Oh, man, it's whatever. I'm going to come back from this. I'm going to bounce back. And when you do, you're going to, how do I word this instead of cussing?
Oh, God. She said, how about words instead of cussing? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube world.
You're going to, you're just going to bounce back from what you did, whether you fall, whether anything. It could be anything. It's just how you play off your embarrassment.
Okay. And how did you learn to play it off? Practice?
Not necessarily practice. It's just, I guess, practice. Yeah. Just the more and more you get embarrassed, the more you don't even care.
So you build up a tolerance. You become resistant.
Exactly.
And it's I love ideas and entrepreneurship, and I think there's a saying that you have to be in business to be in business,
yes.
Right? And so the greater the risk, the greater the reward, but also the embarrassment. But it all comes down to how do you handle the embarrassment. If you take it as a lesson, that's why if I get embarrassed, I've had several embarrassing moments, and they become life lessons and not ones that make me feel bad or guilty. So same question for Kiara. How do you handle embarrassment? Especially considering, I don't know, were you embarrassed about, did you know to be embarrassed about your performance in school? That's my first question. The grades that you were getting.
I was embarrassed because I wasn't making you proud. I should be making myself proud first before anything. Because at the end of the day, it's my grades.
Period.
But I wanted to make sure that I make sure that you get proud as well. Like my grandma, Nana, shout out to Nana, and everybody else too.
So how did you overcome that feeling of when and of course it was all through school, right? So when it was like honor roll. And sometimes you would be one grade or two off.
Yeah.
But never getting those achievements. How did you manage that?
I just focus on the positives and like take the negatives out, and then think about you, and then like everybody else. Like, oh, I'm gonna make them proud one day. If I'm like one grade off, but then again, I try. So I just tried my hardest and like never give up.
Hashtag never give up. Never give up. What else, guys? That's kind of. I think you said a lot. Even as their mom, when they speak, it's first of all, you give anybody a mic and it's dangerous, including myself. But as their mom, it's usually profound to hear their level of articulation and the thought that goes into it. That's why I knew that I wanted to bring them in on the topic of failure. I have been given the responsibility to shape and mold and influence lives. And there's no manual. I think Willie Sanders talked about, there's no manual to this life. So you, by way of my own experiences and the upbringing that I had, I've tried to do my best. So I hope that what you hear in this podcast will exemplify that. I will ask the girls for, I'm telling you, give somebody a mic and it's dangerous, but I'll ask them, I'll start with Kiara, any lasting thoughts about failure, life in general?
Just to always think positive and take out the negatives in your life, because if you keep the negatives, they're gonna always be around. And just always focus on your family, focus on your grades, focus on your job. Because I have one embarrassment moment. So my first day at SeaWorld, because I'm an interaction photographer for the trainers.
Okay.
And shout out to SeaWorld. Anyway, so my first day, I almost fell into the dolphin water.
Oh,
I almost fell because I wasn't watching what I was doing. So I was like, okay, let me get myself back up and keep on going and take these photos. So I was like, yeah, I need to focus on where I'm standing and watch where the dolphins are, because they'll be all around you. And I'm just like, okay. So I just want to tell you guys, stay positive, take out the negatives, and focus on school.
Whoop, whoop. 22-year-old perspective. We'll leave it up to hashtag woke, hashtag Angela Davis, hashtag Nipsey Hussle, the movement will be televised.
It's wrong.
Oh, so what is the movement continues? TMC, right? Anyway, sometimes I show my age a little bit. I didn't research this part of it. I didn't research Nipsey Hussle again. Okay, Sequoia, lasting thoughts, failure, any other thing you want to share with the people?
I think that one of my biggest failures would be letting what other people say about me form me. I would let it form me, saying that, like, if someone said, for an example, that I was a failure, I would take that into consideration and be like, okay, well, maybe I am a failure because this is happening in my life and this isn't right. So am I a failure? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Why don't I have this? But I didn't let that get to me all the way, but it got to me like a little bit harder than it should. So one day I was like, well, I don't have this for a reason. And it's just like, you're gonna mess up and you're gonna fail. I would just say, let go and let God.
Okay, let go and let God. Oh, let go. I guess they're not gonna sing in. They're not gonna join in. You guys heard it first from the kitchen table that is in the living room where Spades goes down. You heard it first. I am confident that this will be one of many opportunities that I'll have to share this platform with my kids. And I'm waiting for the day when one of them says, "Ma, I want to do my own," which I know Kiara is. Well, hold on, I'm getting head shakes across the table. I know. Oh, excuse me, Shakoya has done one by herself before. She just never posted it, so it doesn't count. It's a failure. I'm just joking. But I'm grateful. I'm thankful for every comment, every like, every piece of feedback. It means a lot, and I can't be more excited and happy for my girls, for their transparency to kind of share and give their thoughts. But of course, you know how we end this, right? There is no guilt, no judgment, no shame. Only, always, absolute love. Have an amazing weekend, and your girl will be back soon enough.